welcome back to my cozy corner. I'm Elena and this is Elena's Knits. So yeah, today I've brought you back over to the armchair where I'm going to do some knitting and chatting, but I did not have the heart yet to eject my little buddy here. Anyways, so I'll just start talking and then she'll probably want to move on eventually, and then I'll pick up my knitting. But right now I need my hands for petting. So today I wanted to talk about how aging into midlife has changed how I feel about my knitting and my approach to my knitting and what I knit. And what helps to enable my knitting. So I have some notes that I'll refer to, but then I'll probably yammer on. I guess I should mention today I'm again only wearing one knitted item. Yes. And that is my Sophie scarf again. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit warm. It's 11 degrees, but it's warmer in our place, and yeah, I'm just feeling a bit warm today. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep my voice a little lower. I have somebody sleepy nearby who really wanted me to record my episode, but who is definitely needing some rest. So I guess I'll just be chill. Okay, so being in midlife, like I've definitely entered perimenopause time. It's a fun ride, as you might know, and that's sarcasm. But I mean, it's not all bad. But generally the things that I'm knitting tend to be more lightweight and more positive ease, the things that I'm knitting for myself. Or they're things like that vest that, you know, my arms are still free and it's easy to pop on and pop off. That's the holiday vest that I wear often in cooler weather by Petite Knit. And I think this has pretty much always been the case, but I am definitely only wanting to knit things for myself or for people I love. You know, I have no ambitions to turn this into a business. I have a job, and yeah, I think knitting for me it's important that I just keep it really in the hobby category, because I don't want to, hey buddy, hey. Yeah, I think that's just where it feels most soothing. And I like my work, and I'm very lucky with that. So yeah, I'm happy to keep it very separate. I've also, I'm more at peace with being a slow knitter. And for me, it's definitely about the process more than the product. Only, you know, if I'm knitting a present, am I ever really knitting to a deadline? And I don't tend to do that very often. Like even, you know, I'm just always knitting socks, and then I have a stash of socks that I just dip into if somebody needs a present. So I can just take my time. Knitting is a really important part of my mindfulness practice. I think it always has been, but I didn't really think about it that way. Hun, I don't need washing. I don't need washing. Okay? Yeah, you just relax. Yeah, just sitting with my hands occupied. I think if I need to think about something, or if I'm watching something, I might want a more simple project. But then if I really want to be in the moment, then I do like to knit something with a little complexity. Whether I have to, you know, count rows, or you know, work with a stitch pattern or color work, that is so good at just bringing me right into that moment, into this place, and it's really soothing. And yeah, so for instance, this week, I felt that need to do something a little bit more complicated. So I cast on with some yarn that my mom passed along to me that is Laine du Nord, some kind of pure silk. It's about a DK weight. And I thought, okay, no, I need to just really use all my attention on something that I'm making with my hands instead of my mind rushing here, there, and everywhere. And so I cast on a Lucy sweater. It's a short-sleeved sweater by Sari Nordland, and started doing the back of the neck. And in last week's episode, I was kind of pledging to do gauge swatches, but I was thinking, that could be my gauge swatch, that first piece. And it worked. Like, it really brought my mind into focus and calmed it down. And however, I'll just, as an aside about that project, I don't know that I'm gonna keep going with it. I knitted in a smaller size for a smaller person in my life. And I do think it's a little bit like there's some cognitive dissonance with like young person, pure silk sweater that's complex. I don't know that that's the right fit. And however, I have this yarn from my mom that she doesn't want, and maybe it's better that it be knit up, even if it's for something that might not have, be an heirloom in the long term. I don't know. So I've just put that away for now. But it did the job I needed it to do in the moment. Another thing is that I'm more bold about knitting anywhere. So last week I talked a bit about how I was starting to knit while walking. Tried that again this week. And I learned, you have to have a bag with the right size and the right emptiness so that your ball of yarn can bounce around and flow while you're pulling out more yarn. So it didn't go as well this week, but I won't be stopping doing that. And I'm knitting more in meetings, because again, it really helps me just to be present rather than, thinking on multiple layers at the same time. Just think about, okay, what are people saying? What is happening in the meeting? And then put it down if I need to focus more. I think ever since the pandemic, I think just being in a physical meeting, it helps to have something to just anchor me there. I also, these days, and it might be my age, it might be also just I'm knitting more, but I do need to be more mindful of taking care of my hands and my body. Years ago, on Instagram, I saw Summerlee Knits, who's an amazing sock knitter and designer. If you haven't heard of her, she had a post about the specific video that she watches to prevent injury, since knitting is her livelihood. And it's like a 15-minute everyday stretch by somebody called Maddie Morrison, who I think is German. So I often do that one. It has some really good stretches where you're in tabletop pose, and then your wrists are back the way or they're forward the way, and then you're rotating them, and then deep stretches for your shoulders and your whole body, which even if knitting is done mostly with your upper body, I think keeping your whole body healthy, so that you're not sitting for too long and injuring yourself because of that is important. And then another set of exercises that I sort of do here and there, I found on Pinterest, and it's by We Are Knitters. So I'll try and find a link that's not to Pinterest to show you that. And so here, I'll go through the exercises. All right, so the first is called Pray Time, and you put your hands together, and then you can rotate them back and forth and stretch. The next one is called Hocus Pocus. Hey buddy, I know. And that's where you kind of put your hands out and hold them like that so you can really feel the stretch in your hands. So for 5 seconds, and then do that a couple of times. The next one is called The One Ring, which is, I guess, a Lord of the Rings reference, or The Hobbit, I don't know. And so that one you can pull on each finger, but then you can also twist them a little bit, or like rotate them so that your fingers are nice and loose. All right. All right, so that's the one ring. And then there's the branch twister, where you take your hands into fists, and then I think you're supposed to have your arms out, but for ease of filming, you twist them so that you're stretching out your wrists, and hold that for 5 seconds, and do it twice. You wanna go? You ready to go? Okay, bye-bye. And then the alligator, this one you hold an arm out and then reach, I think, under it, and then pull your wrist back. So that's a classic. But again, it's better if you have your arm out straight. And then do the other hand, of course. And then the next one is called electroshock, and that's where you hold your arms down by your sides and then shake out your hands. Just keep your arms relaxed. And again, do that for like 10 seconds twice. And then the last one is called Namaste. And yeah, you're kind of in prayer position and stretching out your wrists again. But I'll try to link that. And then I'll link the Maddie Morrison video, which is really good for your whole body if you're able. And yeah, for me, also doing strength training really helps to just keep everything aligned. And I've been doing more yoga lately, which is really good all around. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing. So yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today. But I'll show you a little bit of the progress that I've made on my project since last week. So these are my Amble, Fiber Company Amble socks. I finished one, and then you can see here, almost done the leg on the second one. I love this yarn. I don't know, I really don't need any more sock yarn. Yeah, you can see my episode, maybe I'll link it below, on going through all of my sock yarn, and some of the plans I have. Some are half knit already, but yeah, for at least a year I don't need to buy any sock yarn, and I'm gonna try to hold myself to that. I don't need any more yarn of any kind. It's actually starting to stress me out. With some of the yarn I got at Knit City, just so beautiful, but sitting there. Yeah, I need to find more spots for it while it's waiting. Yeah, anyways, but I'm loving these socks for so many reasons. The yarn is beautiful, the color is beautiful, and then I'm back to my simple top down, what is it, Mary B. Anderson pattern. So usually with these, I cast on 64 stitches and I use that for the ribbing and for the leg. And then usually by the time I finish the heel flap and gusset, I'm back to 64 stitches. But this was knitting up a little bigger than usual, so I went down to 60 stitches for the foot. And then usually, I think the pattern calls you to, I'm giving more details than I usually would because it's a free pattern anyways, but you decrease for the toe until you get to 12 stitches in the pattern, but I usually just go to 16 because I don't like a pointy toe on a sock. I like it to be curved. Sometimes I will, I'll do the decreases every other row, which is what patterns usually call for. And then when I get closer to the tip of the toe, then I'll do every row so that it curves in a bit more. But these ones, I think I did not do that. And I knit to, I think, 14 stitches. And then I was like, no, I'm not going any further. Yeah, so that one's done. This one, I'm almost to the heel flap. Yeah, and I got a lot done on this yesterday when I went to the movies to see Project Hail Mary. That was a great watch. There's a funny moment when, I was in the aisle seat and there was no seat in front of me, and my ball of yarn got loose and it went all the way down the aisle, just bouncing and rolling. And then my husband kindly got up and got it for me so then I could keep knitting. Yeah, so that's well underway. I think last time we talked, I was just on the leg of the first one. And then my Marshmallow Sophie for the sleepy one is here. These 3 pesky stitches. Yeah, so I've gotten past the midpoint and I'm doing my decreases now. So that's going along well. I never did change my needles. I still might, because this, these are the really short Chiagu circulars, and that difference is that big difference in width makes it annoying to knit with. So I'm gonna go look at whatever circulars I have and maybe switch that up. Anyways, yeah, that's it for today. I hope you have a really good week. The sun is shining here. I hope it is wherever you are, or you're enjoying whatever weather is your favorite. Okay, bye for now. See you next week.